Good morning. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. Those of you that are out in social media land, Facebook, YouTube, and all the other podcast stations. I'm Ray Amanat here in Port Richey, Florida, and my guest host, Mr. Steve Reed from somewhere out in northern Texas,
You're
going yippee ki Steve, welcome.
thank you, thank you. Okay, first of all, what happened to good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever, and guest host? What do you mean guest host?
Co-host, co-host.
You said guest host, Ray. Come on, get
We're
your
gonna have to
act
go
together.
back and review the video, but you might be right. I'm trying to change things up here a little bit,
Why? It
so
works. Too
don't mess with me.
late. Too late. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. So,
But it's always wonderful to have you here, Steve.
it's always wonderful to be here. Yes. Thank you, Ray. You and your new toy. I love it. So, it's wonderful. So,
So
how's Ray
today's
doing?
going to be an interesting discussion on the OBBM network
Yes,
with
sir.
Tabby Talk with Ray and Steve, as we're talking about how do we cancel the cancel culture.
Whatever
And for
ways.
those of you that
Whatever
need a little bit
ways.
more insight, we have a cancel culture. Like we can get canceled right now and get kicked off of Facebook or
It's,
YouTube or whatever
it is very true.
for what we say and what we do. But how do you cancel that cancel culture? And we're going to have some examples of what that is today that are trying to I call it brainwashing or indoctrination of our youth today that's creating a bigger divide in our schools,
Yep.
which ultimately will create a bigger divide in our communities, um, government, everything.
Ray, I remember many years ago, uh, Rush Limbaugh, when he first started, when he started out his broadcast 30 plus years ago, he was being attacked by all different kinds of people, and all different. I mean, every persuasion you can possibly imagine, because he was speaking truth. And they did not like that at all. And so what they figured out was they were going to set up some bots, which are fake subscribers, but they would just bombard all of,
Headshot.
yeah, exactly, all of the advertisers, and try to get those advertisers to stop advertising on his
Right,
program. Okay? And he discovered very quickly that it was probably 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 people that were going in under different names, and supposedly there were tens of thousands of people, but it wasn't. It was this very small fringe group of people that were trying to cancel him. And there were a
right,
lot of people, a lot of radio people, a lot of TV personalities, etc., that were dealing with the same sort of things. But the difference was, Rush said, I don't really care what you say and do because I know who I am. And he managed to convince all of his advertisers, for the most part, to stay on track with him. The problem has come in, though, that this small fringe group of people it's gotten to be a little bit bigger, but they've figured out other tools to be able to get to these corporate big dogs to convince them that they need to cancel anybody that is speaking truth. So
right.
that's a little bit of a setup
Well, you,
for
you
for
look
what
at
we're
what's
talking about.
happening to the My Pillow guy
Yep, Mike Lindell.
and the people that canceled him and took his merchandise off of
Yep,
their shelves.
yep.
They're having to close down a lot of their stores because
Oh,
nobody's wanting to go shop there because of
oh,
their cancel culture.
oh.
You look
That's
at
a shame.
Newsmax TV,
Yep,
Newsmax,
going through it right now.
because of Direct TV and AT&T, they're losing billions of dollars every month
Yep,
because of how they treated Newsmax, and even probably One American News.
Yes, exactly. They've
Um,
done the exact same thing. And Ray, let's give everybody a little bit of a heads up on exactly what's going on. The DirecTV has opportunities for people to um, to have their programming, have their channels on the satellite network.
right,
And there are small fees involved in doing this. Well, the problem was that they changed the rules for One American News and for Newsmax, and basically said we will take you, but we're not going to pay you anything. Whereas the liberal far left channels and stations, they're getting paid millions of dollars, and Newsmax is saying, no, that's not an equitable way of doing things. It's got to be even, Steven, fair. So the CNNs that have almost no audience left are
right.
getting paid millions of dollars from DirecTV, but Newsmax, whose audience is growing by leaps and bounds because they're telling the truth, they're not being compensated. So that's the foundation of what's going on. So if you currently are a subscriber to DirecTV or to AT&T, you may want to consider where you're sending your money. I'm not telling you to boycott, but you may want to consider how you're spending your money. Anyway, you
Well,
know,
I was with AT&T for years and years and years, and they kept raising the prices. And every 6 months, I would call in and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go somewhere else," and then they give me some kind of a deal, and
yep,
I'd stay with them. And now I've got a different phone network that I'm using that hasn't done anything different.
yep,
Same same access to all the
yep,
5G towers or whatever,
yep.
and they also support military families.
There you go. There you go. So Ray, you asked the
So
question of
Pure
how.
Talk, if you're listening, we would love you to be one of our advertisers.
Absolutely. And Patriot Mobile is another one. That's a good conservative right leaning network. So anyway,
Right,
so there are others, okay? But that's what we're talking about with canceling the cancel culture. If people are going to try and get AT&T and DirecTV and those people to cancel us and the people that we favor, then maybe we just do the same thing for them. So, right, of course, I'm putting our little disclaimer up that says this is a an opinion based program, and
right.
yes, our opinions are accurate; they are truth. So you don't have to, fact check us because we know what we're
Damn.
doing. All right.
And we do need to get to a commercial break.
Well, and
So,
what commercial break would you like to do, Mister
so
Armada?
the biggest thing is both of us are authors and speakers and educators. You with Stephen Reed Ministries, and of course me with Heroes in Action. So we can talk about either of those. Um, they can try to cancel me, but I'm out there on a daily basis
Yeah.
speaking. I'm getting to a point here in Florida now where we're getting back up to where I'm going to be speaking to, reaching and teaching anywhere between 8 to 10,000 people a year. So
Oh,
we're
that's excellent.
we're working our way up. I've got we're getting phone calls left and right to
Fantastic.
being asked to present or speak or do a seminar. We're looking at going to New York, and I'm looking at going back to St. Louis in May. So,
Cool.
no, we are excited to be traveling and empowering people on how not to be
Excellent.
victims of
Well,
bullying or violence.
why don't I show a little video that talks a little bit more about your topics? So
Okay.
here goes. Oh, wait a second. Here we go.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Almanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
There you go.
Yes, thank you.
Our live studio
so-
audience.
No applause, please. No applause necessary. One of the things that we need to discuss, and this is for a future topic that I found a guest that we're gonna have a lot of fun with. But one of the things that is not talked about is consequences. A lot of kids when they're in the schools, if they get suspended or expelled, they get a slap on the wrist, and they don't really know what those consequences are if they were to do those same things as an adult when they're 18 years old. What are the consequences of going to jail? What are the consequences of having to hire a lawyer? Those costs, those expenses. And if parents knew what that cost or expense was that their child could cause them down the road, they might think about focusing on what are the root causes of the behavior and how to change it so that they don't become a future problem that's going to cost them lots and lots of money.
Yep. So, Ray, how can people support your mission?
If they just go to our website at heroesinaction.us, or they can use this QR code that'll take you to our website where you can make a one-time or recurring tax-deductible donation that helps fund all of our programs so that we can travel all over the country and empower people and utilize our services or offer our services for free to everyone.
That is excellent. But if people want to have personal training and private lessons,
if they're out here in Port Richey and they would like to get one-on-one training and further their education on how not to be a victim of violence, they can use this QR code and set up a private lesson with us. And I know those of you that are using that are listening to us on audio, you can't see these images. But if you just go to our website, heroesinaction.us, or get a hold of me through my email or my cell phone, you can get all the information and set up those times. So thanks for sharing. Let's get back to our program, sir.
Ray, we both have been doing a lot of research on the topic that we're chatting about today, and I ran across a couple of videos that are pretty powerful. So I want to share one of the videos, just a couple of minutes of the video. You'll get a basic idea of what we are talking about. Now, I got from Fox and Friends. From one of their morning broadcasts, recent broadcasts. So let's take a look at this.
To everyone that's watching us on Facebook, please send us your comments or questions so that we can engage you guys.
Absolutely. So here we go.
As 2022 comes to a close, a brand new list is revealing the wokest companies of the year. Both Twitter and the NBA making the cut, with companies like Disney and BlackRock earning the title for the second year in a row.
Ashley Rinsberg is the author of The Gray Lady. She joins us now. Ashley, good morning to you. What do you make of these award winners, if you will?
I think it's a dubious distinction at best, but it's great to see that someone is keeping track of this stuff, because what we're seeing is that these giant companies whose real duty should be to their customers and their shareholders are now pandering to a tiny group of progressive activists and the media that's backing them up and amplifying their message. And what we're seeing is the effect for both shareholders and customers is terrible. Disney's a great example of that, and so is the NBA.
How much of the progressive activists play a role in this as well?
That's the whole game here. I mean, what they do is they create a lot of noise, or they do something damaging or disruptive, like emptying milk in a supermarket or damaging a Van Gogh painting or whatever it will be. And then the media takes that and amplifies it to millions of people and embarrasses these companies. So these companies live in fear of a tiny, tiny group of activists who are doing these kinds of stunts. And there's really no pushback from the other side. So for these giant companies, all the risk is on one side. It's on the side of offending a group of a few thousand people at most who really care about this stuff, have invested their whole ideology and their whole identity in these real kind of extreme leftist ideas, and they're willing to go to jail for it. So the companies just kind of roll over and go with the flow because it's cheaper for them at the end of the day than having a huge media campaign against them and how evil they are.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Ashley. And it really does seem like in a lot of these situations, like particularly Disney, the CEOs, the people at the top aren't as reactionary. They want to go one way, but then they cave to like 22 and 23-year-old employees. And we saw that play out firsthand with the parental rights and education law in Florida.
That's right. It's these activists can make a lot of noise. They can do it real fast. They can organize quickly. And at the other side of it, they've within the companies, we also have this huge sprawling HR structure, human resources that's hiring people of like-minded ideas. They're kind of pulling from the activist group because they're supporting ESG, environmental, social, and governance policies that are designed to push the companies to the left. So both from within and from without, you've got a tremendous amount of pressure. And at the end of the day, the CEO, however bold or brave that person might be, that's only one person. And they really can't resist that much pressure and the risk of having a full-blown media campaign waged against them for some minor infraction that a group of, like you said, 22-year-olds have decided is the worst thing ever to happen in history. So they'll just say, you know what, let's just take the opposite path. Get along to go, or go along to get along. And that's exactly what's happened. But what happens with companies is that they continue to optimize and optimize and optimize to the point that they actually begin to adopt these ideas as if they really care about them. Mm-hmm. Of course they don't, but now it feels as if they do.
Yeah, and it's not that many of them either.
I meant the applause button for this guy. He deserves
okay.
a round of applause.
That's okay. I agree. But what they're talking about is really, based in laughter. When you stop and think that a 22-year-old or a group of 22-year-olds are running Disney right now,
right?
That's what's going on. That's the scary thing. That's what's going on.
You think of the cancel culture for comedians, that they can't even joke about race. They can't even joke about homosexuality. They can't even make any jokes because if they do, they get canceled. I think it was Roseanne Barr that she's doing a comeback, a comeback tour or a comeback show that says cancel this.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's gonna be a little outspoken about everything that happened to her when they took her show off.
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful, and I believe it's going to be airing on Fox Nation. So
yes,
it's a subscription-based program. So I saw an interview with her a couple of days ago, and it was rather edgy. So wouldn't it be great if we could get her on the broadcast as well?
It would be.
So, Ray, I'm going to put that in your court. So, see if you can find it. All right, Ray, there's a terminology that is starting to be bantered around. It's called DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. And that's what they're talking about. So many of these corporations are trying to make sure that they have a diverse look at everything. They want to make sure that they include everybody in the whole process. And it's got to be an equitable situation. It's got to be fair for everybody because, after all, it is all about the children.
So, if you were to go to BET, which is Black Entertainment Network, I don't think they really have a lot of diverse programs on their network. It's a network that, just from what I've seen, is nothing but no, which is great, but it's all TV shows that are African American based.
Yeah.
If we were to have a whites only podcast or TV show,
Yeah.
people would raise a stink about it. But when you have magazines that are like Ebony magazine or anything else, why? Why can't it just be Everybody magazine or World Life magazine was Life, but even Life is biased on a lot of stuff because they're trying to be inclusive of everything, which is good, but I think it's being a little too politically correct because everyone is now walking on eggshells. They're too afraid to say something that's going to offend somebody.
What you're talking about, Ray, and I was too young to have seen this or paid attention to it, but we've both heard stories about the white only restrooms, the white only water fountains, the white only etc. So the coloreds had to go to a different place. There was
Right.
a movie that came out a couple of years ago about NASA, and I don't remember the specifics. I don't remember the name of it, but it was talking about women and their involvement in NASA in the early years, back in the
Right.
60s and 70s.
I remember it.
And there was a lot of discussion about women couldn't use, or black women couldn't use the restroom in the same building with everybody else. They had to go to another restroom on another part of the campus.
So they're late for work or they're late for everything and
Exactly.
constantly getting in trouble.
But here's the crazy thing. We're going right back to that. Now, it's
Right.
not so much in the restrooms, but we're starting to see more and more of those types of things where we are doing the exclusionary type things, not inclusive for everybody. So we're trying to go back to the
I'm
old-
gonna push back a little on that because now it's restrooms for men, women, cross gender,
others. I
whatever,
understand.
and it's setting up for sexual assault in the bathroom. It's setting
Okay,
up for
but I
other
understand
things
that.
bad things that can happen.
I'm not talking necessarily about the restrooms, but you just mentioned two different things: BET and Ebony magazine.
Right.
Those are black only, entertainment portals.
Right.
Okay, so why do we need to segregate? Okay, this month right now is Black History Month. Okay,
Right.
um,
It should be every month.
absolutely,
Just like Valentine's Day
yes,
shouldn't be just one day out of the year.
yep.
You should be expressing your love every day out of the year.
I,
Not coming up with an excuse to let me buy some chocolate. They've commercialized it so much.
yep.
It's not one of my favorite holidays.
I
I'm not
agree.
going to lie.
I've gotten in a lot of trouble over that for most of my adult life because I thought it was a stupid holiday. So and boy, am I going on a limb. Mother's Day and Father's Day, likewise. Okay, not stupid, but when you stop and think about it, if you don't honor your parents on a day-to-day basis, one day out of the year isn't going to do anything. If you don't honor your sweetheart every day, one day isn't going to make up for 363 days that you're a jerk.
Right.
And so I'm with you, Ray. I came up with some really good poetry, and I've got a couple of them that are, just so that you know, roses are
Well,
red, violets are blue. Poetry is difficult. Avocado. Here's
that
another
was
good one.
awkward.
Here's another good one. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I. Yeah, let's move on. Let's get back on topic.
We need to actually go to another commercial break.
Well, I think we should do that.
And talk about something positive
Well, I think I can do
over
that.
all of this wokeness.
Well, why don't we do that? Okay, so here we go.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells. A true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state in a way no other product can. No drugs, no injections, no kidding.
Ray, I've got this one other slide that I wanted to share. I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older. I want to be younger. What do you think?
And you know what I would like all of our listeners to do if they were to go to our Facebook page at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve and say, I would love more information about the LifeWave patch. Can you set up a Zoom meeting or whatever where we can get more information and more detailed information?
Absolutely.
So those of you that are interested, go to our Facebook
Yeah.
page and say, we want more information about LifeWave or more information about Heroes in Action, and we will contact you and set something up where you can actually learn more about these products or services.
You know, Ray, with you saying that, one of the things, and I know you do a lot of free consultation with people and give people tips and so forth. Of course, your whole program is free. I give out free samples all the time. And here's a sample of one of the little patches. See how thin that is? It's wafer thin. I put mine on this morning. You just peel off the little back and you stick it on your body wherever, and it will help you get out of pain very quickly. It'll help you sleep better. It'll give you more energy, better focus. It actually tells your body to start producing collagen. Most people don't realize that. They think they have to drink collagen or take a collagen supplement of some sort. This will actually tell your body to make its own collagen.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I had somebody that I did a presentation for several months ago. A woman came up to me at the end. She says, well, I checked you out on Facebook recently. And I said, okay, what did you discover? She says, you look younger. I said, well, it's all because of the patches. Okay, if you'd like to look younger without injections or lotions or creams or whatever, then you can get that as well. I'm going to give you one last real quick testimonial.
If you want to look younger without looking like Nancy Pelosi from all the Botox shots she's
Yeah,
got,
that's
then
another story.
yay.
Yeah. So I have issues with my lower back, and that's what originally got me started using these patches. And a couple of days ago, the back pain started to flare up. I put the patches on, and the pain went away. Simple as that. So no lotions, no injections, no creams, no pills, nothing of that sort. The pain went away. So, folks, if you want more information about LifeWave, company's been around for almost 20 years now. It is doing extremely well. You can go to my website, which is www.lifewave.com/Stephen Reed, and that's STEPHENREED. Or you can send me an email at info@StephenReedMinistries.com. So that's what I got for you, Ray. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Even the kids love you, Steve.
I
Even the
know.
kids
Well,
love
you know, speaking of kids, right? You sent me a video link for another video, and it's another podcaster, a talk show host. I want to share this video as well, and we're going to talk about that, and then we'll continue on.
Now, this is just spectacular. Spectacularly horrible, actually. So Disney has, and Disney, they used to do, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Whatever happened to Donald Duck? Bring that guy back. That would be good, but no, they can't do that. What do they have to do? They have to turn children into little racist, ahistorical maniacs. So one of the women, you remember from a few months ago when we showed you that leaked Zoom call where the former CEO of Disney, he has since been fired, Bob Chapek, was on with the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion group, and they were all talking about their trans kids and how they secretly put gay messaging into people, into their movies and all of this stuff. Anyway, that guy got fired. One of the women who was on that panel, she has a new show out. She's an executive producer. She's got a new show out on Disney Kids. And tell me if this is just good old-fashioned child programming or perhaps something a little more nefarious designed to break your children's brains. Enjoy.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane. Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king.
And we were its soldiers,
4 million strong.
fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves.
Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build this.
Slaves
built this country.
And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering.
And continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and
white supremacy
that America was founded with and still has not atoned for.
Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons,
blacksmiths, musicians, inventors built cities from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker,
Washington. 40 acres and a mule.
We'll take the 40 acres, keep the mule.
We made your families rich.
From the southern plantation heirs
to the northern bankers
to the New England ship owners,
the founding fathers,
former presidents,
current senators,
the Illuminati, the New World Order.
Slaves built this country.
We had Tubman, Turner,
Frederick D.
Didn't they say Lincoln freed the slaves?
But slaves were men.
And women. And only we can free ourselves.
Emancipation is not freedom.
Did you catch that at the end? Why are they sticking it to Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln basically started a political party because he was not happy with what was going on with slavery. He saved the freaking Union. Maybe that wasn't the best idea in retrospect. But why at the end, like, Abraham Lincoln? There's such nonsense in there, but putting aside all of the nonsense and how they're actually making a political agenda, you can talk in a cartoon. You can actually teach kids a lot of things. Almost everything I learned from Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes, right? But to push such a specific policy agenda too, that what we have to do really, kids, I mean, who's watching this? So imagine a 5-year-old watching that. You're going to get this very distorted view of what history was. And then, Mommy, I want reparations. Like, what?
I want reparations too. That is insane.
Those of you that are listening that can't really see the video that went along with this, that's a video that Disney made. And it just shows kids, images of kids, cartoon kids, that are just angry the whole time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't talk about the other people that in history that fought to free slaves, that fought to and these are people of all races, whites included, that fought to bring more equality to African Americans, and then women on top of that.
Yep, exactly.
It's like they're trying to keep the past alive, where instead of learning from the past and saying, look at how far we've come, where there's more Black millionaires in this world, there's more successful African American people than ever has been, but they're still saying we are holding them back.
Yeah. You know, Ray, here's one of the sad things. Slavery has been around for thousands of years. It is not a U.S. or American-only occurrence. I mean, Moses freed the slaves from Egypt, okay? And that goes back 4,000 years now. So it's been going on. Here's the other thing that they never talk about. I have not heard one of these people that's talking about reparations, not a single one of them. I haven't heard any of them talk about slavery in China right now.
Right.
I haven't heard a single one of them talking about slavery that's going on in the Congo right now. But yet we're pushing things like, well, I got to have my iPhone, okay? Because my iPhone, I got to have my iPhone. Well, did you realize that your iPhone is probably assembled by Chinese slaves? Now they're starting to move into other countries as well, India and Indonesia and so forth.
Right.
But that's one of the things. How about the Congo? The Congo right now, children as young as 6 years old are mining for cobalt so that we can have solar panels and batteries. And slavery right now today. Okay, so you know, cry me some alligator tears, please, someplace else. Okay, because the United States is the most free country on the face of the earth. We're the ones, between us and England, we started the movement to end slavery 150 plus years ago. So, I'm sorry, off my soapbox. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Ray, what do you have to add to that?
I mean, the biggest thing that I see again is people are not talking about how far we've come. They're talking about, well, a lot of the kids that are out here. I'd like to know. I'd like to ask them, well, what tribe did your family come from that was a slave?
Yeah.
Was they were born in Chicago? They were born in St. Louis and New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, three,
That's
four,
rough.
five generations, all
It's
American born.
yeah, it's done. There isn't any. I mean, there's human trafficking and there's sex slavery and things like
Yes.
that, and of course, putting young kids to work in these sweatshops and stuff. Yes,
That's
that's
insane.
still going on. And don't get me wrong, is there still racism in this country?
Of course there is.
Absolutely, but it's not as bad as some of the other countries that are around the world.
No. Ray, you saying that,
We have more
talking,
freedom to be successful here in the United States, regardless of what race or religion
yep, exactly.
or political affiliation you have. You can still be successful in this country.
Yeah. It just takes work, it takes discipline, it takes perseverance on your part. I keep referencing, or I've referenced several times, Dr. Ben Carson. And you look at his history, he grew up in a single parent home. His mother did not allow them to watch more than, I want to say it was 30 minutes of TV a day, but every day they would read for hours. Dr. Carson has probably read more books than the Library of Congress has on its shelves. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not much. I mean, he was an avid reader, and the guy turned out to be an absolute genius because he took that information he got from the books that he read and he applied that information. And he was the first doctor to separate conjoined twins. Now, if you don't know what that means two babies that are born together, okay, physically together. And he separated the babies and they lived. And Dr. Carson happens to be black.
Come on.
So,
No. Is
yeah,
he?
when you look at that, so it wasn't some old white guy that did that. It was Dr. Ben Carson, and then he was the Secretary of HUD for the term under.
He was a
President.
presidential candidate.
Yes, he was. Yes,
He
he was.
ran for president.
Absolutely. So, Ray, we've got these lists of companies that have gone woke. Now, what is your definition of woke? How would you describe wokeness?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. It's trying to get people to view things in a way that um, has an agenda.
Yeah. But it's
I guess that's the
typically
best way I could put it.
yeah, but typically it
It's
is a
it's trying
liberal.
to what's the word I'm looking for? Influence people into thinking a certain way because there's an agenda, a hidden agenda
Right.
behind it.
But it's almost always a liberal or a progressive agenda. It's rarely a conservative agenda. It's almost always a liberal agenda. Okay? So I mentioned a minute ago diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what they are preaching. So there are three lists, and I'm going to give you the name. A guy, he's a writer. He's got some things on the Wall Street Journal. Dave Seminara, Seminara. I'll put a link to his one of his articles on the screen in a second. But he came up with a list of woke companies, actually 3 different lists of woke companies. Before I start giving you the list of the companies, I'm going to go ahead and put his website on the screen. And if you go to Dave Seminara, Seminara.com, and look up complete list of woke companies, you can find his information there. But the 3 lists are divided up in this way. Number 1 list is, you may recall about a year ago, the state of Georgia was changing some of their voting laws. And it was said that those voting laws were very racist. Well, as it turns out, they weren't, because they had more blacks that were voting during the elections back in the fall than they had
Right.
in the past. But here's a list of some of those companies. AIG, big insurance company, Airbnb, Alphabet, which is Google and YouTube and so forth, Amazon, American Airlines, American Express, Apple, Bain and Company. You may remember Mitt Romney used to work for Bain, and they were a big, hedge fund company. And Mitt Romney, the guy that. Anyway, I'm going to leave my commentary out. Bank of America, Best Buy, BlackRock, big investment company, BMC Software, Boston Consulting, Cowboy Ventures. I have no clue who Cowboy Ventures is, but it's obviously not Wyoming or Texas Cowboys. I will assure you of that. Dell Technologies, Deloitte, Discover Financial Services, Dropbox, Estee Lauder, Eventbrite, Facebook. No way. Facebook is woke. Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Harry's Inc., the Razor Company. Oh my gosh, I gotta change razor companies again. Let's see, J&J, the list goes on. There are probably 30 or 40 companies on this list just protesting all of the stuff that was related to the Georgia elections. Okay, now here's the crazy thing. They took the World Series out of Georgia last year, moved it to Colorado, to Denver, which has more strict election laws that would prevent some people from being able to vote.
Right.
So go figure. Wait a second. Georgia was passing things that were beneficial for everybody, giving people more opportunities to vote, and they moved it to Colorado, where they had fewer opportunities. I mean, it's just okay. I'm going to keep going.
Can you say a Trojan horse,
Yeah, we got
where
one.
they get their fingers into everything,
Oh,
into
absolutely.
our schools, into our politics, into our businesses, and then they try to influence
Yep.
people to usurp power or usurp uh, public
Yeah.
opinion on specific
Oh,
things
exactly.
to
Okay.
gain more power.
All right. Right. There was now. I know you weren't directly involved in this, but you being in Florida last year, there was the "Don't Say Gay" bill.
Don't say what?
Don't say gay. I mean, that was the legislation that Governor DeSantis was trying to push through. Don't say gay bill. Okay? No, it wasn't. It was the Florida Parental Rights Education Bill. And there was no mention of gayness in there at all. All it was doing was saying you can't teach children 3rd grade and below about anything related to sex. Had nothing
Right.
to do with gay rights, okay? And that is what caused Disney to go off the deep end and lose billions of dollars.
I forget the name of the movie that they had that was promoting homosexuality. Again, another cartoon that when it came out, I think it cost them 20 something million or $1 billion, and they only made like 5 million when it came out. It was
Oh
a
gosh
big
darn.
flop. It
Oh
was a
gosh
bust.
darn. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, so here are some companies that supported this lie of the "Don't Say Gay" bill. Okay, Advanced Auto Parts. What in the world, Advanced Auto Parts? It's a parts supply company.
Well, it sounds like I'm gonna have to go to O'Reilly Auto Parts
Yeah, there
because
you go. Okay, AT&T, Bayer, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, Citigroup, Comcast, NBC, Deutsche Bank, Disney, Etsy, Gap, GoDaddy, Goodreads, Google, H&M clothing stores, H&R Block. So, folks, if you're getting ready to have your taxes done by H&R Block, you may want to reconsider that. Hyatt Group, Kellogg Company, Kraft Heinz, LinkedIn, Macy's, MailChimp, MetLife, Major League Baseball, NCAA, NBA, NFL, NHL, Nike, the king of sweatshops in China, biggest
Mhm.
proponent of slavery, and the list goes on. Okay? Folks, if you go to the link that we've got showing on the screen right now, again, it's a long link, okay? But if you just type in Dave Seminara, SEMINARA.com, and you look for the list of woke companies, that list will come up. There's one last list. I'm not going to read through all of this, but this third list, again, huge list, companies that have gone woke, that are supporting all of the LGBTQ whatever issues, BLM issues, abortion rights issues, and here's the funniest one of all of them: those people that don't like the fact that Elon Musk bought out Twitter. So they're scolding Elon. So here are
Oh,
some of the
whatever.
companies. Oh, it's insane. Okay, 1-800-Flowers, Abercrombie and Fitch, Absolute Vodka, Adidas, Adobe, Alaska Airlines, Anheuser Busch, Audi,
Wow.
Volkswagen, Axe, Bank, Mellon Bank, Bath and Body Works, Bed Bath and Beyond, BlackRock, Boeing, Burger King. I mean, Ray, again, the list.
It's funny. Most of those that you've listed are shutting down stores and going
Yeah,
out
they
of
are.
business and are struggling. They're
Yep.
they're donors or they're the people that are their what is it? Their my mind's went blank. Where they they get a percentage of the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're losing money.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I've got two suggestions for us. Number one is buy local. Buy from the people that when you walk in, if it's Joe's Plumbing, you can meet Joe. Okay? If it's Dick's Hardware, you can meet Dick. If it's Elliot's, if it's, Frank's Electrical Supply, go and talk to Frank. Buy local. Okay? Any chance you can. All right? So that's number one. Buy from the mom and pops. Support your neighbors. Here's another list that Dave Seminara has on that same website, and this is a list of companies that have not gone woke: Ashley Furniture, Bass Pro Shop, Black Rifle Coffee, Bubba Gump Shrimp, Buffer Insurance, Charity Mobiles, Mobile Phones, Dillard's Department Stores, John Deere, Goya Foods. You want some really good Mexican food? Buy Goya Foods. Hobby Lobby, Home Depot, Jeremy's Razors. Wow, I think I know where I'm going. Instead of going to Harry's, I'm going to Jeremy's. Jockey. Thankfully, I don't have to get rid of my. Anyway, My Pillow, Mike Lindell, Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs. The list goes on. Okay?
Right.
So the main thing though is if you can support local companies, support your neighbors. Don't worry about the big mega companies. Support your neighbors any opportunity you possibly can.
This goes back to trust but verify.
Absolutely.
If you are seeing some type of an advertisement that's trying to change the way you think, I mean, both of us are industries where we try to change the way people think. But is it an agenda? Is it to help improve your lifestyle? And a lot of people can say, well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help improve people's uh, lifestyle by the way they view things so that they're not racist, that they're not that.
Yeah.
And if it's legit, then yes, great, more power to you.
Yep.
But if it's pushing an agenda that's dividing us, that is hurting us by creating um, uh, factions of hatred towards each other. If it's promoting hate, then you have to read between the lines and look at that. Is that really how you want to think and how you want to live your life?
Exactly.
And we need to talk a little bit about the OBBM network
Yeah, I was
and
thinking that same thing.
how many other ways people can find us through a lot of the podcasts.
Well, and Ray, it's not just our podcast, it's other podcasts that they have as well. OBBM, Offbeat Business Media Network, and founded by a friend of mine, Susan Hamilton, several years back. You can find us and other podcasts that they support and they endorse on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Stitcher, on Castro, on oh gosh, iHeart, on Spotify, etc. The list goes on. Good
Yeah,
podcasts.
I looked up OBBM network on iHeartRadio, and I just going through all the different podcasts, and I came across ours, and I'm like, well, I want to see what we sound like while
Yeah.
I'm driving. So here I am listening to your voice and my voice on the radio in the car, and I'm like, this is kind of cool.
So, Ray, did you get into an argument with yourself? So, I can't believe that idiot
I
said that.
can't
That's a
believe I
big
said that.
dork. Exactly.
I'm going to have to
So,
do a rebuttal here.
yeah, there you go. So look at OBVM Network. They're really making a difference in a lot of different areas. You know, they're based here in the Dallas area,
And
but
they
they are
focus on free speech.
free speech all the way around. They've got some other really cool podcasts that they are promoting there as well. So speaking of promoting, here's another way that you can buy locally and buy from patriot-owned companies or conservative-owned companies. Download the app onto your phone. It's called Public Square. It's a free app. You download and you type in your email address, or not your email address, your zip code. And if you're looking for pizza, or if you're looking for plumbers, or if you're looking for a clothing store, all these different companies are starting to join in with Public Square. That is a great way to support local people instead of going to the big conglomerates. Here's another way to help fix the cancel culture. There's a website, cancelthiscompany.com. Now, full disclosure, I have not looked at it, but it's in that Dave Samina email or website, cancelthiscompany.com. Folks, check it out. Tell us what your thoughts are on some of these things. And when you tell us what your thoughts are, don't forget to like us. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to comment in other areas. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to Spotify and OBBM Network. That way you know that you're getting the latest things that way as well.
Absolutely.
So, right, that's what I got to say.
And that's going to be our time for our show today. We hope you enjoyed it. We would love your feedback. If you make a comment on Facebook, let us know where you're commenting from, what state or city you're at. We'd like to know how many people we're reaching. So keep in tune. Like Steve said, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this engagement or communication going between all of us. Steve, let's send this out.
That's all I got. Have a great one, Ray.
All right, have a
Always.
great
It
weekend.
was a pleasure. See you.